Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of The Context in 2026. I am excited today to have a great show. We're going to be talking with Matt Goldsborough from Nimblebrain and Anton Tishchenko. I hope I said that right, Anton, who is joining us to talk about a very cool community, Figma MCP. So should be a lot of fun. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. I hope everyone has started working on their talks and plans to be in New York in a couple months. We have the April MCP Dev Summit is fully a go. We're already signing up sponsors. We've got speaking proposals coming in at an incredibly fast and furious pace, well over 100 now, and I think I'm not even sure if there's even sponsorships left. Now that the Linux Foundation is hosting and running this, I am less up to date than I was when I was running around doing all the paperwork. So hopefully, if you want to sponsor, you're sponsoring and you've got your spot. If you want to attend, it's a great time to sign up. So register.
They are selling tickets.
I believe so. Yeah, I think the registration is open now. So buy your ticket, book your hotels. Get if you can. It's actually in the Marriott Marquis. So if you can book like in Times Square, get close. You're not taking taxis all over New York. I would highly recommend it. Times Square is not exactly the easiest place to find a room sometimes. So get it early. If you are thinking about speaking, please submit a talk. We have, we're looking for a really wide variety of talks this year. There's an awesome program committee that I'm part of, and we're going through talks pretty aggressively. The deadline is only less than 2 weeks away, January 22nd. So we are exactly 2 weeks away, I guess. And so if you want to speak, now's the time. And certainly if you are not sure what to talk about, the stuff we're interested in is like how to use the MCP protocol to do cool things, how to build better MCPs, how to secure MCPs, how to manage MCPs, how to use MCPs as an enterprise, how to use MCPs as a developer, how to use MCPs as a business person. Like literally there is no topic that touches on MCPs or even really agentic development that I don't think would be interesting. So fire away, send in your talks. We are getting a lot of duplicates, like lots and lots of talks about security, lots of talks about sort of context management. So certainly, think about sort of next gen, like where is this stuff going? Think about what you can teach. Be a little more creative than obvious. There are definitely a lot of product pitches. Those are not doing as well. So just FYI, if your pitch is, look at my cool new product that manages MCPs or does something with MCPs, it's probably not going to get selected with how competitive things are. So think about something that's more interesting, more educational, and then use your product to show it off or something. I don't know. Anyways, lots of good stuff, and it is going to be a lot of fun. Hoping to see everyone again in New York soon. We've been really busy with all of the context. There has been, we took a couple weeks off, but if you want to go back and take a look at all of the talks, I think this is our 27th episode, so probably 50 plus talks now on the channel, covering everything from security to, how to build with MCPs and where the project's going. We still are sharing the YouTube channel with the summit. So if you just go to the MCP Dev Summit, you'll see all of these talks plus all of the talks from the summit all in one easy place. We're still looking for speakers for this year. And so if anyone is interested, we've got some actual slots on the calendar for the first time in a while. We were sort of backed up for about 3 months. But now we've got a little bit of availability coming up in February. So take a look. If you want to submit something, we'd love to hear about new projects and love to see what people are building these days. We've got next week, we're going to be talking to the team at Vonage, the telco company. They're talking about how they're building MCP servers and what they're doing with them. So I'm kind of excited to hear that. And then we'll have Appify on the week after that. So lots of good talks coming up. Okay, let's get started. So today's talks, we have two. The first is going to be from Mathew at Nimblebrain, and he's going to really talk about how they, as a company, are approaching sort of managing MCPs and incorporating them into agentic development. And he gave me a quick demo yesterday. It looks really exciting. And then after that, Anton is going to talk to us about the community-based Figma server that they built, which is very different than the Figma server from Figma. And I think it'll be interesting to sort of contrast those things and see what's coming. So with that, Matt, you ready to get started?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, Matt, you're calling in from Hawaii. I was very jealous because you were talking about he's in Waimea, and I'm drinking from my Waimea coffee.
Are you serious? You're in Waimea? I did not catch that. Man.
He's in Waimea, which is like, if you're going to do a startup and you're like, where should we put our headquarters?
Oh, no, you're like not just like on vacation. You're literally like you live
No, he lives in Waimea. He is a founder
Wow.
based in Waimea, which is like, why didn't anyone else think of this? It feels like this is a missed opportunity, Darren. We've been founders for a long time. We should at some point been like, why don't we put our company in Hawaii?
Yeah, I did look out. My prior startup was an open ocean aquaculture company based out of Hawaii. So it's kind of what brought me here. So I just stayed. I put down some roots and didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I can imagine not wanting to leave. Waimea and that north part of the Big Island is pretty darn amazing. So
yeah.
All right. Well, the floor is yours, Matt. Thanks for joining us today.
Cool. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Darren, for having me. Just by way of introduction, I'm Matt. I'm the founder of Nimblebrain. Really excited to be here and share more about what we're working on. I have a couple slides here. I'm going to move pretty quickly through some of this content. We're going to talk about how we orchestrate our builds to actually orchestrate some of the intelligence within the platform. And we'll give you a quick demo of what Nimblebrain and the studio is under the hood. Not a deep dive on these topics. If anybody wants to go deeper, there's my LinkedIn there. If you want to QR code it, there's some resources at the end too. So we'll start here at a super high level. What is Nimblebrain? Nimblebrain is a conversational workflow automation platform. And so what that means is you can build agents and workflows, but instead of using kind of what you would conventionally use, diagrams, workflows, or flow charts and connecting boxes, you just talk to it. And so it's all based on natural language. And so we can build AI agents inside the platform, or we built an AI agent inside the platform called Nira, and she's basically like your guide. So it's your AI assistant that tells you how to build things. You tell Nira what you want. Nira helps you figure it out. It helps you connect all the dots, connect all the pieces. And then you can also refine those agents and playbooks and automations all through conversations. And so we're focused really on sort of democratizing this technology out to folks that may not know how to connect the pieces, and then who want to build and deploy really, really rapidly. So you can say, hey, make this output blue, make the tone more concise, those sorts of things. And Nira does that. I will emphasize, we are not building applications, right? We're not trying to be lovable. We're not trying to be Replit. We're building orchestrations and automations. And this is how we do that, all the pieces that we put into place. We sit on kind of a technology stack. Of course, at the bottom, all the open standards. The MCP community has been awesome. The protocol spec, the bundle format, the registry schemas, right? We use those to build our open source infrastructure. Everything that sits in the middle is all of our open source stuff. We've standardized a lot of our technology, our runtime, the way we distribute stuff on MCPB is the packaging format that I think just got moved into, the broader MCP organization. We built a service called MPack that packages and distributes these primarily through GitHub releases and a bunch of actions we built. We'll show you how that works in a second. And then our internal runtime, we have this thing called NimbleTools Core, which is a Kubernetes runtime. Takes these bundles, knows how to spin up resources, knows how to deploy them. And then we curate all of these inside of a registry. It's basically a sub-registry from the main one. We've added a little bit of registry syntactical sugar on top of it with memory and CPU, a number of replicas of things specific to our application and our implementation. And then you can take, a JSON schema from the server, you can throw it at the runtime, and we know how to spin it up. And then the studio on top of that allows you to orchestrate and build all these agents and fun things that we do with Nira. We'll show you in a second. And so how we actually build these MCP servers, we're not going to actually build one, but we'll show you sort of the packaging lifecycle from our perspective. You write your MCP server in your favorite language, TypeScript, Go, Python. We use a lot of Fast MCP. Shout out to the Fast MCP team. They do an awesome job. We package those up with a GitHub action into a spec-aligned MCPB bundle, or actually multiple bundles for multiple architectures. We produce these artifacts. We push them into GitHub registry or GitHub releases. And then those artifacts become discoverable inside of our own internal registry. So Nimble tools can then find them, can deploy them, can run them. And then the studio that our customers use on top of that, this is really all seamless to them. You just tell Nira, hey, I want you to check stock prices. It goes to the registry and goes, oh, I have FinHub, and it's an API that connects to stock prices, and it knows how to connect to it. It knows how to prompt the user for the right actions, and it can go build those automations for you. And so when we're building them or building and deploying these, this is basically the two pieces of it. On one hand, it's a simple YAML file, goes into your GitHub CI. On the release, we build the bundles, we push multiple architectures. Inside of the registry, we have the registry team pushed out support for MCP bundles. We have basically a fully qualified URL to the format. And this is our abbreviated server.json that you'd see on the right. These are all public from our the way we use it now. Our registry is all public, but the way we use it for other customers too, we can point to a private source, and so we can really point anywhere. We can unlock some air gap deployments. We can sideload these things. You can even do these mix of public-private workflows. We have some customers that are saying, hey, I have HubSpot, an MCP, remote MCP server, right? We didn't build anything for that, but I have this internal esoteric vehicle database. I want to connect those two together. And so we can do these public-private, orchestrations, all sort of powered on top of our platform and on using these MCP bundles. So it's pretty cool. And this is really the payoff. With all this sort of build and packaging stuff up front, you can basically run these things anywhere. You package it up. We have our CLI that you can use for Cloud Desktop. Of course, you make an update to MCP server.jsons, and that allows you to run these inside of Claude. Other than one of the main reasons why we like this is that other than the network latency to download these bundles, they're effectively like these inert zip files, right? Like they're super lightweight, they're super fast. Unlike a UV or an NPM that has to sort of go out and make network calls, grab additional packages, they just spin up almost instantly. So it helps us on our runtime too. But really the whole point of this process that I ran through fairly quickly is to get these into the registry so that they're discoverable, so that they can be used and they can be orchestrated across. And that's really where Nira comes in. So we want to be able to say, hey, Nira, connect me to, we're using Echo in this example, but could be really any connector that's available in the system. She figures it out. She knows where to find it. She knows how to configure it. She knows what actions to surface to the user, that sort of thing. So same bundle, 3 different use cases, 3 different environments, probably more so. But what I want to do now is introduce you all to Nira and to the Nimblebrain Studio, which is our SaaS application that people can use. So I'll flip over to that now. Excuse me. All right. So we're going to start here. This is a clean workspace that we come into. What you see here is actually, pardon me. What you see actually here is we get these briefings that get generated on a regular basis. This is what we mean by sort of like conversational interface. There's no dashboards, there's no graphs, there's no charts. It just tells you what's going on, and you can click the buttons all in here and talk to Nira to actually start understanding what's happening at a more granular level. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go. All right, so workspaces are isolated environments, and so you run your workflows inside of these, or your automation workflows inside of these workspaces. They're all secured by RBox, so you can have different users in different workspaces, different MCP servers in different workspaces, right? Before we build anything, I'll just show you some of the connections under the hood. And so this is what's available out of the box. We have a number of core platform services that we've baked in. So we have, Nimble Mail, News, Search, Weather. So these you can come in and just start building without having to connect anything else. The majority of the other connectors are OAuth 2 connectors or bring your own key connectors. And so we can connect to Airtable or Calendly. These are OAuth 2. Ahrefs, DeepL, some of these other ones, IP info that we have down here, we'll show you in a second. These are all sort of driven by API keys. And so we would connect those, and you'll see how that works here in a second. If you also want to bring your own MCP server and sort of bypass the the whole registry process and upload this straight into your workspace. You can create a connector. This will be available next week. We'll be able to just push MCPB bundles straight into your workspace right from the studio. Nira is here. Nira is omnipresent. And so what you can actually do when you want to build something, you can click the little button on the side, Nira pops out, or you can press Control K and she flies in and out too. So we're going to go ahead and build our first playbook. Playbooks for us are sort of synonymous with workflows, but it's sort of the intention here is to say it's a set of instructions and then Nira knows how to take care of the rest. So it's a little bit simpler there. Rather than trying to fat finger this on the live stream, I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to say, build me a playbook called Daily News. It's going to run every morning at 8 a.m. and it's going to give me a summary of the top tech headlines. So I'll run that. And what you'll see here is Nira knows what's in your workspace. She knows what's available to you. She's going to discover what's available. She's going to use your input. She's going to create a set of instructions and she's going to build the playbook and then she's going to redirect the UI. So she's going to bring you to that playbook right from the chat. And Nira is also context aware. So what Nira was able to do, grab from my profile as part of the build process. When I said 8 a.m., it says 8 a.m. every morning, Hawaii time. So everything's context aware. Nira knows about you. Nira actually knows about what's on the screen too. So when you say this or it knows what playbook or agent you're looking at, that sort of thing. So I can go ahead and I can run this. You get a sort of a debug view here. It'll warm up. It'll start to execute. You'll see the logs that start streaming through from that standpoint. You see the tool calls, that sort of thing. A lot of our customers, they don't necessarily use this view. Everything's API enabled. I'll show you what that looks like here at the end. But this is sort of the output view of what you would get. What we're doing here is we're just getting the top headlines, and then we can view them in this modal window. Not the most useful, right? So now I want Nira to help me actually improve this. So I can say, can you add mail and email me the results? So what it's going to do here is going to discover I have additional connectors. Nimble Mail is a mail service. I'm going to make that connection. You saw the connection. I don't know if it was subtle. It went from 1 to 2. Now I have connections and tools that are available as part of the playbook here. And now I can run this again. And you'll get the same sort of news analysis and summary, but now the addition of the email that gets sent out to me. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. And the same type of refinement that we just did, we can change output format. We can change, include links, don't include links. Hey, I want you to look up AI news. I care about NVIDIA because it's really what all of us here on this call care about. When are the stock prices, those sorts of things. You can add in any sort of connector that's available inside of the system organically. So the emails take a little bit here, but you'll see the tool call that comes back from the email. And then I'll pull up the email under studio automations. Let me refresh this. There we go. 8:19 a.m. Daily tech news that came from automation at nimblemail.app. And this is the top tech headlines. So we have a lot of people that are using this on the platform just to say, hey, give me the most important things that happened, for the topics that I care about. We have just, daily automations that get kicked off. So that's one. I'll show you one that's a little bit more business focused. Well, first I'll show you one other cool feature. So Nira is very proactive. And so if you misconfigure something, Nira will tell you about it. So I'm going to intentionally make an empty playbook. And an empty playbook means a playbook that has no connections associated with it. Has no connections, has no use, can't really do anything, can't orchestrate across that, right? So empty playbook, I'll just do something awesome. I'll create that playbook. Now, once I go into that playbook, what you'll see here that pops out on the right gives you a little proactive, hey, you've got an empty playbook. I detected that your configuration is kind of messed up. How can I help? So you can click that. It'll drop you into the chat. You can refine it in real time, just like we did with Nira, with the daily news playbook. Last one here, I'll show you. I have a pre-canned one, just a one that we have already with a partner we're working with here. I mentioned IP info before. So we have IP info. IP info does a whole wealth of IP and network related information. They've been in business for 15 plus years now. They got a wealth of knowledge. We can build a playbook in the same way. I'll show you the kind of the chat that we built. Actually, I'll do it here in real time. I'll delete that. What we want to be able to do is build a VPN detector. That's a use case that we have from a security standpoint. Say, if build me a playbook called VPN detector. It takes an IP address as a parameter. It uses IP info to check if it's behind a VPN. And if it is, send an alert to IP info security in Slack. So I'll connect that. I'll let this run. It'll search the connections. I've got an IP info and I've got a Slack connection. It's going to wire those up. It's going to create the playbook in the same way. And now you can see what gets created here. We get check the IP address, and then we get at IP address, which is a parameter in our sort of nomenclature. The parameter gets automatically created down here. I can add a default IP address here. Let me pull the IP address. Where did I have that? Let me grab what my IP is. I'm on a VPN here. There we go. So I run behind NordVPN. I can drop this in as a default value. I'll change that. Now let me just go run that. So I've got the IP value that gets put in here. I can execute it. And so now what it's going to do is going to orchestrate organically or agentically across these different MCP servers we have. We have get plus IP info, which is a premium option from the IP info team. It allows them to say, hey, is it a VPN or not? It detected it did. So now you see the results that come here, and it says, hey, I sent the alert to Slack. So now let me pull up my Slack. And there is the alert that came in. VPN detection alert. Here's the IP. Here's the status. Here's some context information with it. And so this is pushing the Slack as a MCP connected. This really could be any type of quote unquote Lego brick that you want to put in there. What we're seeing a lot from a security standpoint is saying, hey, if we've got maybe a video streaming service, they want to block VPN connections. They want to make agentic updates into their firewall rules and things like that. And so you could drop in an MCP server instead of sending to Slack. You could maybe make a call to your Cisco router, right? So there's a lot of cool things that we can unlock with this type of technology. So that's kind of it from a quick overview of the demo and the studio here. I did want to make a note. Everything that we have inside of the platform is available via an API. We have public API docs, so playbooks, conversations, agents, that sort of thing. And then we have our public MCP registry API. These all, again, conform to the registry spec that the standards body puts out, the MCP registry team. We support a small subset of them, basically the discovery ones. We don't do the managed pushes and things like that. But everybody can come play around with it. We've got a bunch of resources here if folks are interested. Studio docs, registry, our GitHub repo, MPack, which is that packaging format. We just published the white paper too. If everybody wants to chat, Discord, or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Awesome, Matt. Thanks so much for diving into that, and congrats on the project, company, everything. How long have you been working on this?
So we formed in 2024, but we've gone through multiple iterations as the industry has evolved. We started very early on with actually our own internal sort of MCP-like tool execution framework. We actually had a thing, like a class called Nimble Tool, and we were using it. And then all of a sudden MCP came out and we went, oh, like this is what we should use. So hence the Nimble Tool name that got pulled into sort of the service and the open source piece that we use now.
And as you've kind of gone through those iterations, how about the product? Like, when did this product start to come together? Is this been around for a little while now? Are you still, obviously talked about new features coming next week and stuff, so you're clearly in pretty early rapid development on it. Where are you, where is this at now in terms of, have you seen a lot of adoption already? Or are you still kind of in the early, like just trying to get people to check it out and see what they think?
So we had a number of folks on a previous version of our platform. We sort of migrated everybody to the studio I want to say November. So I guess 2 or 3 months now. We have a couple hundred folks on the platform, all building different types of automations. And then a couple folks, I would say like larger SMBs, folks in the mid-tier that are either design partners or pilots and ongoing contracts where we're doing sort of these, like I mentioned before, sort of alluded to, these public-private integrations. Excuse me. Everything that we have can be deployed into sort of a bring your own cloud environment. And so we can deploy the whole stack. We can build custom MCP bundles, and then we can start to orchestrate inside of their own enterprise, which is a cool feature to have. So we've seen a lot of interest around that.
Awesome. Darren, any questions you have for Matt?
Yeah, maybe I missed it. Like in your UI, like can you see like all the lists of like tasks that or playbooks that you've run? Like what does it look for someone coming in?
Yeah, so we get an activity view here, and so you get everything that ran. You get some schedules that run. You get details of what happens. This is one of the ones I ran previously for IP info. You get event timelines. You can kind of turn things on debug, and you can dive. You can really drill in. What we're focused on is trying to do very much like progressive disclosure. Like the initial view is really tailored towards someone at like the business level to build automations. But realizing they're going to ask somebody on their team to be like, what's going on with this thing? And then there's going to be an engineer that has to like click through the buttons. So we sort of have best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like really well thought out and everything. Like it was one good thing I was curious because we have like success and failure is like, how do you determine if it succeeds or failed?
We have an LLM judge effectively inside of it. So as the executions run, the last thing that we do is we evaluate the output, and then we have a set of rules that say, hey, based on what the user was asking, based on the outputs, based on the tool calls, sometimes you might get partial success. Sometimes you get network failures or an MCP server that has gone up or down. And so it's like, I had to execute, or I planned on executing 5 tool calls. I only ran 3 of them. Partial success. Like I don't really know what's here. And then on the back end, you'll get all sort of the product notifications and alerts to say, hey, you scheduled this thing and it failed 3 times yesterday. Like you should go fix it. The briefings on the front end help you do this. So it says, hey, I found some VPN connections and tried to send security alerts, but it didn't work. Help me fix this. Some of the stuff we baked into Nira too, there's sort of automatic support tickets that get created. So we integrate with Intercom on the back end. And so when you click help me fix this, it will start to diagnose it. If it can't, it creates a ticket that automatically goes to our support team. And then we also integrate with the Mintlify MCP team or MCP server. And so when you ask Nira about how to do things, it's not just like some rag lookup, and it's not some sort of, canned thing that never gets updated from a documentation. We build the code and we update the docs, and the minute the docs are updated, Nira becomes immediately better because it's using the MCP server that's provided by the Mintlify docs. So it's a cool, nice round trip. Yeah,
it's amazing. So I'm curious. So like, so there's a lot of AI automations that they go like more N8N approach, more workflow driven. It's like, what was the decision to kind of go with basically a prompt and tools? Like there's no, because there's always this idea of like, well, how do I know it's going to do the right thing? Or how is it deterministic? Like, is it going to be deterministic? Or, people get very worried about, kind of that stuff. It's like, how has that experience been?
Yeah, we've actually gotten feedback on some of those different other folks that are in the space, whether it's the N8Ns or the Zapiers or the Make.coms. Like how come you guys aren't like, where's my diagram, right? And we don't plan on going down that route. We think the future of this is all going to be conversational. We've gotten some feedback from customers that actually have put us head to head with some of those other companies, and they're like, yours is just easier to use. And so that's kind of where we want to go. I don't think, and nothing to those other companies out there. I mean, N8N and Zapier, they make awesome products. I've used them, deeply in the past, but I feel from a vision standpoint, everything is going to go conversational. The way the text and the inputs that we have here that are set up, this is a natural stepping stone into doing this all through voice. And so like we have just a little behind the curtains, there'll be a mobile app that gets rolled out in the future. So you can basically just say like, hey, Nira, do this for me. And it just does it. And it's all through voice, and it's all based on the, the platform that we have under the hood. So I just think getting out of these really statically rigid defined workflows that when they break or when they don't work, you need to enable an engineer to go do it. Like, this should be in the hands of everybody inside of the organization. That's really what we're focused on.
Yeah, I think that's a real difference between the kind of the prompt based and the workflow. The workflow is like, it's an engineering thing, and it's great for, it works really, really well for, if you have like a lot of data pipeline type things, you want to process a bunch of data and summarize it or something like that, where it's like, you have like terabytes and, but in terms of like daily automations and stuff like that for this, like, I really like this prompt based thing.
We actually got that question specifically. They were like, hey, we built this thing in N8N. It grabs data from Databricks and it, does all this ETL stuff and puts it over to here. Like, can I build that in yours? I want to compare the two applications. We're like, nope, that's not what we do. Like, we're not that type of application. You shouldn't go with us, Yeah,
it's really a different use case. And it kind of seems to be reflected in your product, where it's like, as you said, it's like you're kind of going more towards the high level business person, and then, an engineer or something might be able to debug it. But this is really cool. I'm amazed to see how, because like you were saying, you built your own tool kind of thing. We did the same thing way back. I built a thing called GPT script, and I fooled around with this stuff way back early. This style orchestration, if you like GPT script, you look at the examples and stuff, and it's like I really liked it back then, and I'm kind of excited that it's becoming really, because it's the most simple and logical way to kind of to do this or whatever. I think it's because I was expecting your product when you started talking, where it's like, oh, you chat and then you generate code or a DSL under the hood and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The fact that you just generate another prompt, or it's like, but that's kind of the beauty of it, because this is like me kind of ranting a little bit. It's like I find it's best to have AI, like, instead of you having to write that playbook, you talk to AI to have it write the playbook.
Yes.
Like, it will do a better job of constructing what a playbook should be than you would trying to write it yourself. And so it's like, so there's even value in talking to AI to have it generate a prompt. Don't try to write a prompt yourself. So it was great. I mean, I think your product looks great.
Cool. Really excited. Matt, thanks so much.
So SAS is all closed source, like, and then there's open source parts.
So the whole infrastructure is all open source under the hood. So the core, all the impact stuff, people can go to the GitHub org and check that out. The intention would be that we would slowly open source the rest of the platform as well. We're just trying to get all the, make sure we don't have any security holes and things like that.
Yeah, and the impact stuff looks really cool too. I'm actually gonna look at that.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have a white paper. We actually just submitted a talk, Shannon. So if you guys got any pull,
no, I like the impact. That's I kind of wish we had more time, because that solves a really different issue. Because we realized, like, we do a lot of things where we put MCP servers in Docker containers, because there's a lot of like practical. What's the that's how we distribute them, because what's the dependencies? You have to kind of lock the dependencies, but you don't want to do that at runtime. And so I think it's interesting.
That was the impetus for it ourselves too. We had all these STDIO things. We were writing these adapters and trying to figure out how to get, and it would like startup times were like a minute and a half to get these things to run. And then we just started bundling things, and it's like, we're down to less than 10 seconds startup time. Most of that is like Kubernetes doing a probe and saying, is it available? Like, cause it's up in like a second and a half, and all you have is this network latency just to download the bundles.
Yeah. And then the whole MCPB, that kind of perfectly aligns. I mean, you look at your whole product, and I just like that you can see each kind of component, how it's kind of ended up aligning really nicely with the community and the specifications and stuff. So it's cool. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Cool. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Anton, how's your connection? Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me start sharing.
Whoops.
Oh, we're just seeing you, Shannon.
I hit the wrong button. All right. Well, Anton, I'm super excited for your talk. And Anton is joining us from Kyiv, or just outside Kyiv in the Ukraine. So excited to hear his company, EXDST, is actually a consultancy. They do a lot of software development, and as part of that, they started wanting to do more with Figma. And his story is really exciting to me. I'm really excited to see this new implementation of a Figma MCP server that they've built. So, Anton, the floor is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Yep. Thank you for introduction. So today I will talk you about the community Figma MCP server. My name is Anton Tishchenko, and I'm CTO of EXDST. EXDST is a software development company, and we majorly do web development. So if you need any help, any extra hands, feel free to contact us. The Figma MCP server that I will present today is kind of a side product that we decided to make open source and to share with everyone. So we do web development. We work with different technologies. We work with Next.js, React, Astro, Next, Vue, and others. And we use different content management systems: Contentful, Strapi, Optimizely, Sanity, Sitecore, etc. And part of these content management systems are niche products. And AI and large language models are not quite good with them. That's why Model Context Protocol became a huge breakthrough for us. We became able to use AI on our projects on completely different level. Here is our common use case. In this sample, we use Sitecore. So we took designs from Figma and implement them using Cloud Code. And also here we use two additional MCP servers. It's Chrome Dev MCP server and our custom Sitecore MCP server. These servers allows us to build a feedback loop to achieve great results. But time to time, it's required to change something in our designs. And unfortunately for us, we can't do it because Figma official MCP server is not capable to change anything inside Figma design. It has multiple of tools to get data from Figma, and all of them works fine and help us, but there is no tool to change something in Figma. That's why we decided, why don't create it? So let's check what Figma API is available. Figma has different APIs, and the ideal case for us would be usage of REST API. What could be easier than just wrap REST API with tools and provide MCP server? But unfortunately for us, REST API is read-only in Figma, and that's not what we need. And the only one API that allows us to change Figma documents, it's plugin API. But unfortunately, it has also its own limitations. Plugin is executed in sandbox and it can't act as a server. And actually, we need it to be a server to use Model Context Protocol. So it will not be so easy, but it's still possible. So here is a basic architecture of what we implemented. We introduced a WebSocket server, and it acts as a medium between MCP server and Figma plugin. And it allows us to pass messages from MCP server to plugin. And then plugin is able to execute all required actions in Figma document and provide back the result to MCP server, and MCP server is able to provide the result back to AI agent. Actually, before the implementation, we reviewed whether there are some similar Figma MCP servers, and there was one quite similar, but unfortunately the code there wasn't so great. It was JavaScript, not TypeScript, no typings, and 50 tools in one file. So it would be hard to develop and easy to break. That's why we decided to implement our own ones. It's actually easier to explain architecture on sequence diagram. So we have our AI agent that sent tool request to MCP server, and we have queue in order to save all our tool calls and use them later. And once we save tool request, we are able to send message to WebSocket server. And Figma plugin is listening to WebSocket server. And once there is message on WebSocket server from MCP server, Figma plugin reads it and executes all required actions in Figma. It can be one action, or it can be multiple actions, or it can be even some cycle. And once everything is done, it returns back context from Figma to WebSocket server. MCP server, from the other hand, is also listening to WebSocket server, and once there is message from Figma plugin, it reads it, get unfinished promise from the queue, and returns back execution result to AI agent. Or if something wasn't finished during some period of time, it's able to get tool request from the queue and return timeout to AI agent. Now, let's see it in demo. So for demo, I have my Figma. It's an empty document. I don't have anything there. I need to start my plugin. It's here in development, Figma MCP server. You can see message that it's already connected to MCP server. That's because I started MCP server in advance, and you can see here that we can see Figma in connected clients. And I will run demo in other cursor window, which just have two files, CloudMD and PromptMD. Here let me make it bigger. Here I enable just one, our Figma MCP server. It has 23 tools to edit Figma document, and I will use prompt that I prepared in advance. And as large language model for this demo, I will use Opus 4.5. The prompt is actually quite similar for this demo. I ask agent to create input text component, input password component, primary button, and secondary button. And I ask to use all components that were created to create login form that should contain email, password, and two buttons, login and cancel. As you can see, it already started to work, and it prepared plan to create 4 components and then create form itself. And it already did some work, so we can switch to Figma and check what's going on. So we can see that the input text component is already here, and I guess it's working on second component, which is password component. And you can see that it started to create the component under the input text component, and that's because in Figma I have memory, I have rules in Claude MD file. So for this demo, I wrote that components page should be used for components, and that AI agent shouldn't put everything on the same coordinates. Everything should be located on different coordinates. And other rules are to use after layout and use component properties. The good practice here is to start from empty CloudMD file and see how it acts. And once you are not happy with something, for example, I wasn't happy that everything was overlapped, just add rule for it, and then AI agent will do what you actually want. And in this case, your prompts will be simple. So let's back to Figma and check what's going on here. And we can see that another one component was created, that's secondary button. And I think it should start to work on the form itself just in seconds. So, yep, it wrote that all components are created, and now it's able to get all components, and it starts to work on the form itself. So we can back to Figma and check our form on page 1. We can see it created title. By the way, title also could be a component, but for this demo, that's just fine to make it as text. In real design, it might be component. We can see that it created 2 component instances, email and password, and put them inside the form. And also here we have frame for buttons, and now it should create 2 buttons and add them into this frame. And we will check whether we are happy with result. I think it finished. Yeah, it wrote that all 5 steps completed, and we can review the work. So let's imagine that I'm not happy with buttons locations. I want to align button to the left and login button to be the first. So I can do it either manually, or I can ask Opus to make it for me. So login button should be first. Align buttons to the left. And it should do all required changes. Set layout, set parent ID. Get node ID. Yep. Now we have buttons located as we expected. And design that we created here, it's quite simple because we had quite simple prompt. But that's good starting point because we have everything according to best practices we use after layout. So you can see that I'm changing the size of form, and input sizes are also changing. We have spacing, we have frames. So that's good starting point for you to design your form. And also everything is components based. So here we have components, and in our design we just add the component instances, and we can type component properties as we want. And also important thing here is that everything is executed in context of Figma design document. So we can undo and we can redo all things. So if I'm not happy with something, I can just press Ctrl Z and undo changes. Or if I need to revert them back, I press Ctrl Y and I can revert everything back. That's all about demo. Let me switch back to the presentation and make some conclusions. So now it's possible to allow your AI agent to design on your behalf in Figma, and you can use your favorite large language model to do it. It can be useful for designers, and it can be useful for developers which are not quite good in design, for example, me. You can scaffold something, you can use it for quick prototyping, you can use it for migration of existing projects into Figma. So there could be many use cases. The whole project is open source, and everything is hosted on GitHub, so feel free to fork it, feel free to change it for your needs, and contributions are welcome. Unfortunately, Figma didn't accept this plugin to be added to the official Figma plugin registry. So if anyone from Figma is watching this presentation, please do it. It will make designers' work even more simple, and they will be able to use more AI capabilities inside Figma. But even if plugin would not be added to the registry, you still can use it. It will just require one more additional step. And additional point here is that you can implement model context protocol servers for things that you can't control. So in our case, we implemented it for Figma, and we used WebSocket server as a medium to transfer messages between MCP server and between third-party tool, which in our case is Figma. And the last slide is with links. You can scan this QR code, and this QR code contains 3 links. First link to GitHub, to the project itself. Another link is to article that describes how to configure and how to use this MCP server. And another one is for product hunt. By the way, we won product of the day on product hunt at the 2nd of January. So you can support us, and probably we will be able to get the product of the month here.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations, Anton.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I had a question. Are you seeing with people using this, like people who are already proficient with Figma, like that's what they do day to day or whatever, like, do they find this useful? Or is it like mostly like, oh, I don't understand Figma, and then, this tool is useful for you?
So we just launched it, and we just starting to get feedback on this MCP server. We expect that designers will be able, and designers will be the audience who use this product. The sample cases where I see that they will use Figma has their product, their AI product, Figma Make. It's similar to V0 or similar to Lovable, where you can create some design, but once you created it, you can't change it. And that's the problem. And we solve this problem with this, our model context protocol server. Or if Figma will add the same functionality by themselves, we also are happy with it.
Yeah. So I was wondering, because I've seen this where so it's like, oh, like I see you do this, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try out Figma, because I can't do design and I don't know Figma, but maybe I can prompt it. But I've tried other things with that where it's like, oh, let me use AI to do this thing I don't understand, and I'm not super successful. Like I get something like initially, but then it's like, oh no, I really don't know what I'm doing. That I'm really curious to see how this thing works out for you, because I would guess that for people who do know Figma and are already it, that using AI to assist them is just going to make them faster and more, because there's just things where it's like, yeah, I could click, do that, but it's kind of easier for me to just type one line and let it do it. It's like the same thing I see with programming, where it's like, I can define an interface, and I can just tell Claude, like, oh, well, implement that interface, like, because I know exactly what I'm doing. I could have written the code, but it can write the code faster than me. So I'm kind of curious to see where, like, it gives me a certain optimism where it's like AI is like, it's not like, oh, we're going to get rid of all designers now because AI can do it. It's like, no. This just makes designers better. Not, it just accelerates them. It doesn't, make someone who doesn't know it.
Yeah. So we work in web development area, and for us, Figma still is a source of truth. So clients still want something that looks exactly like in their design. And that's why this tool is for designers, to make them more efficient to implement client wishes in Figma.
I mean, yeah, but like the thing that this allows is it allows someone who has not spent a lot of time with Figma but understands design to probably work with it pretty quickly. Like, I would imagine that this would lower the learning curve on Figma significantly, especially when you're like, I do this stupid thing. I use Figma reasonably frequently to provide comments and occasionally, do a very, very simple mock drafting. And I could see how something like this might allow me to much more quickly prototype and much more quickly. So I wonder if you're right, Darren, that, yeah, it would open up, people who are good with Figma will probably get value out of this. But I do wonder if it might not open the door to a lot more people who maybe are good with other Adobe products, but haven't spent a lot of time in Figma. I'm sorry, is Figma owned by Adobe now? I don't think so. They IPO. So like, maybe you're good with Illustrator or Photoshop or something, and you're able to kind of communicate your design ideas. You could imagine a lot of people who are designers but aren't Figma experts skipping the heavy duty Figma learning and just sort of explaining what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it and modifying.
Yeah. I think you make an excellent point there, because it's like, because what I was saying is, like, if I try to do that, like, it's not that, like, I don't know Figma, like, I'm not a designer, like, that's just not my domain, right? So like, so you're right that it's like, maybe Adobe, but you're going to so quickly learn that tool and just get more. But it's like, I think like the point is making is like it just makes people like more proficient in using their tools. It's like it makes you,
where it opens up. I think it reduces the learning curve, and I think what you're going to find is pretty quickly, though. I mean, it's kind of fair to say that for designers, there's sort of two sets of skill. There's one set of skill that's tied to being able to design something that looks good. That's kind of the prerequisite for being a designer. But then there's another important skill, which is knowing how to use a whole bunch of software to turn your idea into something people can see. And I think that the value of the one set of skill that is turning your idea into something is going to rapidly decline with AI able to implement people's ideas. And people who maybe have good ideas of what they would like are going to be able to just talk right to the software instead of having to go through, because quite honestly, a lot of times when we hire or anybody hires someone like Anton's team, we kind of give them a bunch of hand-drawn or, you know, PowerPoints or something that somebody's comfortable saying, like, I kind of want my website to look like this. This is what I'm looking for. And then there's an enormous amount of back and forth that happens between the designer and the client or the business person trying to get their idea across. And I wonder, quite honestly, if, you know, very often the value in there is the person who's creative, right? Like it's somebody who can come up with a creative way to express, a beautiful way to express, like the ability to create something creative and beautiful. But it has to be coupled with a lot of technical capabilities to deliver that. And then there's another set, which is then you have to take all that Figma stuff and turn it into something technical, like an actual implementation of a WordPress site or whatever, some type of HTML. And that is also, I think, declining. I do think that when you if you give an AI a very good Figma implementation of what you're looking for, its ability to code that up on a platform is also rapidly rising. And so I think the gap between a person that doesn't have a lot of technical skill being able to talk to something like Figma to work on the look and feel and experience, and then push that to a coding agent that could then implement it against, you know, a back-end system of known provenance like WordPress or something else. You can see how a non-technical person who has a pretty good understanding of what they want their website to look like and maybe has some very clear design ideas could get quite far along in the process without engaging someone who's an expert and without engaging a developer and without engaging a designer. And I wonder if that's going to replace the Wix of the world. And
because I think like if you go like a Wix, if it's like a Wix or a Squarespace, then I think that makes sense because like, but just what I was saying is like, you know, you need someone who has core design skills to create a design. You don't need the skill in the tool anymore. But I still think you like, you know, unless you don't really.
90% of people don't create designs; they grab a template, and quite honestly, those templates are all known by AI. Is like the AI is almost able to use those templates.
I mean, and I think that's kind of the downside.
Even the designers we work with. I mean, I've worked with plenty of designers. I'm like, oh, what am I looking at here? It's like, oh, it's I kind of picked up this framework off of Adobe or off of stock or something. I'm like, I kind of grabbed these things and maybe I modified them. You know, when you get into like actually creating custom elements, you're getting into a higher spend and a higher quality than, you know, where people are often prototyping at. So it's going to be interesting. I think this is like, as we build up the AI's ability to work with visuals tools like Figma and to then implement them on the back end, you know, a lot of the market is going to be solved by just AI-based design and implementation.
I think it's really fascinating when I look at, so it's like my wife is a very creative person. And so she goes and does all these things in Photoshop or Adobe tools and stuff like that. And she's not technical at all. And so she watches all these videos. And so she spends a significant amount of time just trying to figure out how to use the stupid tool. It's super frustrating for her.
So do I. I mean, I do
knows what she wants to do, but she has to figure out how to use the tool. And it's like, well, if she could just talk to, you know, because it's like, you learn these little tricks of like, oh, you create this layer and you do this on top and so, and it's like, well, she knows exactly what, but she just doesn't know how to do it in the tool. It's like, if she can just talk to it, it's
I mean, like, you know, my son is in college to be a designer, and I will tell you, like, an enormous amount of his classwork is learning tools. You know, he's doing theatrical lighting design and stuff, but it's still like, oh, well, there's this set of tools that you use, and you have to learn all this 3D lighting modeling and all of this, you know, real depth and, you know, plots and everything. Like, it's hours and hours and hours of technical learning. And, you know, you wonder if like 3 years from now, you're just not going to need to know how to use the software. You're just going to be able to talk to the software, and the software's value will be more as a standard implementation of a framework for communicating the ideas that people have and for, putting things in the exact spots. It's very interesting though, because I think, in every profession you start to see this erosion of the value of what is the equivalent of programming, like the way you put things into frameworks that are then portable and distributable. Anyhow, this is a great presentation, Anton. I'm really excited about what you've built, and this was a fun day. Some great conversations. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Matt, thank you. Good luck with your company. Sounds very promising and really exciting. Anton, thanks for sharing all this with the world. I certainly am going to go play around with the Figma MCP. It looks awesome. So, any other questions or comments before we run? Any questions from the community? All right. Well, let's wrap it up. And again, we'll see you all next week. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks,
guys.
Bye.
Bye.